What's up, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. I want to do a quick feedback on towing with this rig really quick. I'm going to show you what I was working with and basically the experience I had with taking this to South Dakota and back using the Tacoma right here. So let me first show you. So if you guys have been following along, you know that we're using the Tacoma 2019. It's got a 3-inch front suspension lift, 2-inch rear suspension lift. I'll get into my thoughts on that in a minute. And right now I have the TRD Offroad 4Runner wheels and tires on here. So 265s. So this thing is set up to tow, I want to say, just over 6,000 pounds. And that's kind of where it's at. This is a 6-speed manual. And this is the grade of which I am pulling my trailer out of. This right here. So here's what I was towing. This is a Winnebago. It is called a Mini Winnie, and it's right at a micro mini, and it's right at 4,000 pounds. So between this, the pups in the back, the gear in here, I'd say there's no way I was over 5,000 pounds total. So this was my setup. I also have a trailer brake setup in here, which I'll show you in a second. Please excuse the mess. It was super muddy in South Dakota. But this is the trailer brake setup. It is the Tacoma P3, I think it is. Super simple plug and play. I think this took me 15 minutes to install. Really simple. The placement's a little bit hard to get in and out of, but it worked perfectly for what it was. So let's get into more details about what I had. Okay, first things first. I was all hooked up trying to get out of this driveway, and for whatever reason in two-wheel drive, I could not get out of this driveway. It kept stalling. It just seemed like it didn't have enough power. It felt like the trailer was breaking me down, and I'm wondering if perhaps it was because I had to hold the brake, let go of the clutch, and inch it up, and the trailer brake wasn't disengaging, and so it was kind of holding me back and keeping me stayed still. And I kept stalling. So needless to say, I couldn't get out of the driveway. Even with the clutch start bypass, I could not roll out of the driveway in two-wheel drive for the life of me. So I had to ease back down, put it in 4 low, put the A-track on, and put everything on, except for the locker. And I was able to crawl out of the driveway. I was really disappointed with that. The fact that I kept stalling and it just felt like I didn't have any power. I couldn't rev up the engine to get out. I tried using the handbrake, and I learned a couple things about the handbrake, so let me show you that now. So when using the handbrake, I kept trying to hold it all the way up, give it gas, and then release the clutch. Problem was it would just stall. The RPMs would not climb high enough. It'd stop at like 2,000 RPMs, just stall out, and I could not get out of the driveway. Super annoying. What I later found out, let me make sure this is there, was that you in fact only need to be about right here, not all the way up. So if you're going to use this as a helper brake to help you ease out in either way, only pull it up just a little bit, not all the way. That's what was killing me. So that was one thing I learned. Yeah. So I had to push the trailer backwards up this hill, over this hump, and then down into here. Same thing happened. I kept stalling, could not get it back in. I was cussing out the truck. I hated it. I could not get the engines to rev high enough and do that. So I finally realized that holding the e-brake up just slightly versus all the way would allow me to rev up into the higher RPMs and then push the trailer back. Smelled like clutch. It sucked. I had a horrible time until I figured that out. So the e-brake thing was a huge helper in getting it up and backed into this driveway. Okay, last thing I want to talk about before I show you videos of my experience towing is the lift. So when I put the trailer on, it kind of sagged a bit. This was way too high. So first things first, this 3-inch is way too tall. I'm going to go to a 2-inch up front and lower this an inch. So right now I'm running a 3-inch spacer. I just did it out to test the height. I don't like the 3 inches up front. I'm going to 2 inches up front. Second thing, back here, I'm using a 2-inch block. Again, I do not like how it rode, especially with the trailer on it. So I'm going to go to an add-a-leaf system and maybe something else to help with the weight of the trailer versus the blocks, because I don't like how much it sagged, and I don't think that helped me out at all, which I know it's not going to for towing, but I think for what I want to do, no, I'm going to add a leaf. So I'm going to do 2-inch up front and add a leaf in the back, and hopefully that will help with the towing a little bit more. So that's what I learned about my suspension, because I was riding like this. The toe angle was really bad. It was just, I didn't like it at all. So that was my thoughts on the 3.2 lift with towing. For street, perfectly fine, but for towing and that use, I didn't like it at all. So I'm going to show you a couple video clips now of one when I was in South Dakota and Wyoming, fighting the winds, fighting the weight of everything. The winds, I think, was the killer the most. along with these slopes and the elevation. I just had a killer time. Once I got super strong headwinds, I mean, they were probably about 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts, which was rough as it was, but it was just super difficult to tow. It was, I mean, I was in fourth gear most of the time, just killing gas. It was struggling. Once I was on flatland though, I had no problems. Everything was great, no issues at all. But with the huge headwinds and the hills, I mean, I was getting blown all over the place and the truck was struggling, to say the least. So I'm gonna show you some clips of that and then just talk about it a little bit more at the end. If you got any questions about this setup or anything as far as towing, just let me know. It was just my experience, and I'll show you everything that I'm using if you have any questions. So let's get into it. I was a little frustrated, so I apologize for that. All right, guys, so right now we are towing a 4,000 pound trailer with, I would say maybe 700 pounds of extra weight total. I wouldn't say it's that much more, maybe. So we're under 5K. And we are going across South Dakota right now, headed towards Wyoming. Bunch of absolute nothing. I mean, we are getting wind gusts, I would probably say 30 to 40 miles an hour consistently from whatever direction. The hills, pretty rolly, pretty difficult. And to be honest feedback from towing with this rig, I'll show you the setup later, but it's difficult, it's hard. So with about just under 5K, I mean, I'm getting blown all over the place, and it's pretty difficult to maintain. I mean, I can keep up to 65, but I'm struggling on some of these hills, and I'm basically two-handed driving just to fight the wind the whole time. So again, I'll show you our setup and everything, but average gear on this trip has been fourth gear. You know, on some of these hills, I'm having to get in second just to kind of get momentum, keeping up. And a lot of it's just this wind, to be honest. The weight isn't too bad. I feel comfortable with the weight. If it was just the weight, I think we're doing just fine. But the wind along with the weight, it's too much for this truck, to be honest. We're making it, but we're struggling to make it, just killing gas and stuff. Like right now, I mean, I got a little bit of an incline, and I'm in fourth gear right now, just struggling. I know you can't really see the wind, which sucks, but there's nothing out here in these plains blocking it, so we're getting it pretty good. Just my honest feedback. Back at it, guys. We're on flat ground now, back in Colorado. And so, I mean, here, no problems at all. Flat ground, no wind, we're cruising. I mean, I'm able to actually get into sixth gear. I wasn't able to get into sixth gear basically all of South Dakota or Wyoming and actually make it. So on flat ground, no problem at all. I'm not having any issues with the weight or the rig or anything. We're, like I said, 5,000 pounds on flat ground, you won't have any issues. But as soon as you hit any type of wind, headwind or hills, it's gonna go slow really quick. So once we head back into the mountains, it's gonna be a lot of third and second gear just to kind of get up things, which is, I guess, pretty normal. But I mean, even on these overpasses, I'm still having to shift down to fifth at least on flat ground. But I will say this: if you live in a flat area and you don't have to worry about hills and strong headwinds or just large open plains with a lot of wind, then you'll be absolutely fine. But if you are planning on traveling or going into the mountains or anything like that, just understand you're going to struggle a bit, and it just is what it is. Second, third gear are going to be real life things you're going to have to worry about. Okay, excuse the mess, but here I'm going to show you an example of what I was talking about. So I'm on the slope, and obviously I don't have anything attached, so I'm going to exemplify this just a little bit. So I'm in first gear, and what I was trying to do was hold it up here and then go ahead and get my RPMs up and then release, but it would basically just die when I was pulling it. But what I needed to do was just hold it just slightly up here, which allows me to get the RPMs up as high as I need to, and then it will give me a little jump start. I don't know if that makes sense, but holding the brake up too high was causing my RPMs not to be able to jump all the way up to where I needed them to. It was only letting me rev to about 1,000 or 2,000. Now it smells like clutch again. But anyways, that's kind of the example I was trying to show, and I hope that helps. So if you are using the brake as a help point on hills, go ahead and just barely hold it up. Don't try and hold it up all the way. And I was using my clutch start cancel. Where's it at? It's right there, but it wasn't letting me use it with the trailer itself. It was just too much weight and whatnot, so I wasn't able to actually creep up with the trailer attached. So again, I hope that helps. I can answer more questions, but that's kind of just the gist of what I was fighting. And there you guys go. So hopefully the truck will be a little bit better. I was really swearing at it yesterday. I was not happy with it. I was super frustrated because it just felt like it didn't have enough power to get the trailer into the driveway. And I was just over it completely, especially having the standard. I thought the standard was gonna be great, but it ended up fighting against me yesterday. So anyways, I'm a little bit more happier with it now that I figured some stuff out. I'm gonna go ahead and try and get these tires on today as well. And again, if you got any questions, just let me know. Hope this video helps anybody out there. That's all I really care about. Just wanna help that one person. All right, hope all is well. See you guys later on the flip side.